Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Festival of Lights 2020, 8 crazy nights. We are on the sixth crazy night, and it only gets crazier from here. uh, and Starting off, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in and came and watched all of the amazing artists and donated already. As of today, we passed the fundraising goal that we had hit last year, and so we're 2/3 to our way to our fundraising goal this year. But I just want to acknowledge and thank everyone for donating so far because we passed what we did last year. That's amazing. And so thank you so much. So we're here today for two reasons. One, as we were just talking about, is to raise money for the national bailout. And two is I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure I said it right this time. The second reason that we're here is to deepen our connections with each other by celebrating all the incredible people in our community as they share their art and creativity with us. And one of those amazing people is Gaby Marraro, that's here with us today. And first, I'm going to introduce the National Bailout, the fundraiser, the organization that we're raising money for. And just pull that up. The National Bailout Collective is a Black-led and Black-centered collective of abolitionist organizers, lawyers, and activists building a community-based movement to support our folks and end systems of pretrial detention and ultimately mass incarceration. We are people who have been impacted by cages, either by being in them ourselves or witnessing our families and loved ones being caged. We are queer, trans, young, elder, and immigrant. So if you would like to donate any kind of amount, the donation link is in the description below. And also in the description, you'll find links to all of our amazing artists, including Gaby Marraro. Am I pronouncing your last name right?
Yeah, you are. You're good.
Okay, good. Just wanted to double check. Gaby Marraro is a software engineer currently at the New York Times and is interested in the intersection of technology and social change. She previously ran the Code Cooperative, now Emergent Works, an organization teaching formerly incarcerated people to code, and is a volunteer with the Parole Preparation Project. She usually only sings for family and friends, but given that every day feels like the same these days, she's glad to try something new and can't think of a better cause to do so. Gaby, so thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and take it away. Gaby
So,
Marraro.
yeah, so I'm just gonna play a few covers. I hope you guys enjoy. This first song is called Gold Mine. You can touch it with your two hands. You can find it with a third eye. I've been thirsting in the mudlands for a well it can't run dry. Passed down to me through the wind, and in the silence of the white sound, it's always hidden in the dark night. Dug up from the cold ground, but it goes over the heart, over the head, over and above all the words they said. Be still, my heart, still in my head. 'Cause I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this. I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. It's been through the brimstone, been through the fire. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. And it's burning in the furnace. go and get past all the words they said. Be still in your heart, still in your head. 'Cause I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this. I got a gold mine, it's all mine. Nobody can touch this. It's been through the brimstone, been through the fire. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. It's been through the brimstone, been through the fire. Nobody can touch this gold of mine. Cool. The next song is called To Know Him Is to Love Him. To know him is to love him. Just to see that smile, oh, it makes my life worthwhile. To know him is to love him. And I do, and I do, and I do. Oh, I'll be good to him. I'll bring joy to him. Everyone says there'll come a day when I'll walk alongside of him. To know him is to love him. And I do, I really do, and I do. Why can't he see? How blind can he be? Someday he'll see that he was meant for me. To know him is to love him. Just to see that smile, oh, it makes my life worthwhile. To know him is to love him. And I do, I really do, and I do. Okay, the next song is Look What They've Done to My Song. Look what they've done to my soul. Look what they've done to my it's the only thing I could do half right. It's turning out all wrong, Ma. Look what they've done to my song. Look what they've done to my brain, Ma. Look what they've done to my brain. Yeah, they picked it like a chicken bone. I think I'm half insane, Ma. Look what they've done to my brain. Wish I could find a good book to live in. Wish I could find a good book. 'Cause if I could find a real good book, I'd never have to come out and look at. Look what they've done to my soul. Na 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 na. Ooh. And if people are buying tears, I'll be rich someday, Ma. Look what they've done to my brain. Maybe it'll all be alright. Maybe it'll all be okay. 'Cause if the people are buying tears, I'll be rich someday. Look what they've done to my song. Look what they've done to my song. Look what they've done to my song. Yeah, they tied it up in a plastic bag and they turned it upside down. Look what they've done to my soul. Look what they've done to my soul. Okay, the next song I have is Blowing in the Wind. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Okay. Yeah, so this is my last song. It's one of my favorites. It's called Don't Let the Kids Win.
Don't let the kids win, just let them lose. They're not gonna learn anything if that's the way you choose to play. Don't let the kids win, just let them fall. You don't want them growing up thinking 3-year-olds are good at playing basketball. Don't let your grandmother die while you're away. Cheap trip to Thailand's not gonna make up for never getting to say goodbye. And don't let your brother stop thinking you're cool. Yeah, I know he's got a girlfriend now, and he's taller, but that don't mean he stopped looking up to you. And I've got a feeling that this won't ever change. We're gonna keep on getting older. It's gonna keep on feeling strange. Don't let your friends turn cold while you burn to green. When they walk off the stage, embrace them and say that's the best shit I've ever seen. And don't let your sister walk down the aisle without pulling her close, saying I love you and it's okay if I don't see you for a while. And I've got a feeling that this won't ever change. We're gonna keep on getting older. It's gonna keep on feeling strange. Don't let the time go by without sitting your mother down and asking what life was like for her before you came to be around, and tell her it's okay if she puts herself first. Us kids will be alright if we're not the center of her universe. And I've got a feeling that this won't ever change. We're gonna keep on getting older. It's gonna keep on feeling strange. And after a late one, I don't know anything except the more I keep on talking, the less breath I got left to sing. Cool. Thanks, everyone. That's it from me.
That was so beautiful, Gabby.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Sure.
Would you mind sticking around and talking for just a bit?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. How did you choose which covers you wanted to play?
I feel like there's a few that I just kind of keep in my repertoire. I prefer to play, like, as you can tell, just like acoustic-y kind of low-key things. And so I have a few that I know make me feel good, so picked from those.
Yeah, I think I actually got introduced to Julia Jacqueline through your
Oh, yeah.
SoundCloud.
Oh, that's a compliment.
Yeah. How about some of the volunteer work that you do? Can you talk a little bit about that? That seems
Yeah, for sure.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so the past, I guess, year and a half since April of 2019, I volunteered with the Parole Preparation Project, which is an organization that works with people who are going up for parole, who are typically serving like extremely long or life sentences. And you work with a group of volunteers to pretty much prepare them for their parole hearing, get lots of like legal documentation, do kind of mock interviews with them, and things like that. So the person I was working with, his name is Michael. We've been working with him since I guess about a year and a half ago. He was up for his, I think, 6th or 7th parole hearing after over 35 years incarcerated, and he actually came home this March.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, a crazy, crazy time to come home in the middle of a pandemic. But he's been doing awesome. He is working and has a place to live and is doing great. So we were so happy to have him home. It's a great project. I really love working really closely with people and kind of developing close relationships. And it was a really nice way to kind of do that and get to know someone over a really long period of time and just get to know them more. I guess very separately from how we kind of think of incarcerated people. It was really great to kind of see him in a different way.
Yeah. Speaking of like a different way of thinking about people that are living in incarceration or after incarceration, you also it says you ran the Code Cooperative, which is now Emergent Works. Can you tell
Yep.
us a little bit about that, and maybe even talk a little bit about technology and social change?
Yeah, for sure. So I will say, so I was running, an organization called the Code Cooperative. It's in kind of a different iteration now, but they're still doing awesome work. But when I was running it, we pretty much started a summer program teaching, or I guess pairing software engineer kind of mentors with formerly incarcerated mentees, teaching HTML, JavaScript, CSS, if you know those terms, basically like basic kind of coding skills, with just kind of the idea, the belief that like the people who are typically in tech, it doesn't always represent like the technology that's built and the people who build it don't always represent the people who are using it. And we really believe that like anyone can learn to code, and that by learning to code, you can solve problems that you identify in your community. And so that's kind of what we were trying to do. We were having all of our students build like a basic web app that addressed a problem that they recognized in their community. So one person built a website that was resources for people coming home from prison. So things like that. I'm not running it anymore. It's also under a different name now. It's called Emergent Works. But they've kind of altered their model a little bit, or I guess a lot. They're still working with kind of a mentor-mentee model, kind of training formerly incarcerated people to code, and then also actually kind of like commissioning projects. So they actually just built a really amazing thing called Not 911, which you should go check out. It's basically a web app to find alternatives to calling 911 in an emergency. So yeah, they're awesome. Definitely go look them up. Yeah, and I think just in terms of like combining tech and social change, I kind of throw that phrase around a lot, and I think it can mean a lot of things. I think what I saw with the Code Cooperative is kind of what I said, is that there's a room in tech for everyone. And I think at least for me, learning how to code was really empowering. And I've tried to use it to kind of build good things, things that serve people well. And I think once you give people the tools to do that, I think it can be really empowering, and also just kind of like closes gaps that definitely exist in the tech world. I think we need more perspectives and more diversity for sure. So I think that was kind of one small way to do that.
Yeah, wow. That is such a cool mission, and like such a cool organization and work to do. And speaking of bringing good things into the world, I have one last question that's a little bit different. Do you
Yeah.
ever write original songs? Do you,
I
and
don't. I
you
don't.
don't?
I feel like I've tried before and it just doesn't happen. I used to love writing poetry. I feel like they never translated well in songs. Maybe one day I'll pick it up, but not currently, no.
Well, one of my favorite things to do is to encourage people to believe in themselves and turn their poetry into music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll pester you about that one day, and we can turn one of your
Yeah.
poems into a song.
You won't be the first.
Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing the music and a little bit about technology and social change.
For
It was
sure.
really lovely having you here.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks.
Yep. Take
See.
care. All right. Now we are welcoming Yuki and Quincy to the stage, the virtual stage. Hey Yuki, hey Quincy, how you doing?
Hey, what's
Good to
up?
see you.
How's it going?
Good, good, thanks. So I just want to tell everyone at home that one of the goals of the festival, besides just music and poetry, was to include other kinds of art form, and that's why we're so lucky to have the two of you here, two amazing filmmakers and I think actors and performers as well. And you're gonna show us some clips of the work that you do, and then we're gonna talk about it. But first, I'd love to introduce you, so I'm gonna read your bios real quick.
Word up.
So Yuki M. Ledbetter is a creative producer and photographer based in Brooklyn, New York, and co-founder of ML Nebula. She has worked on various music videos and short films as a producer and as associate producer and post-production supervisor on the feature film Alu the Dreamer. for BET Films and Paramount Players, starring Denzel Whitaker and Haley Webb. She enjoys working behind the scenes with creatives, making lists, checking boxes, being on set with backup plans, and seeing people's wildest ideas come to life. Quincy G. Ledbetter is an award-winning filmmaker, musician, artist, and co-founder of ML Nebula, based in Brooklyn, New York. As a self-taught jack of all trades, Quincy excels in writing, directing, editing, cinematography, and music composition. His work in digital media has won an Edward Murrow Award and an ASME Ellie Award for News Documentary 2018, an Emmy nomination for Short Format Daytime Program 2017, and a Webby Award 2016. Quincy has worked with notable organizations such as BET Networks, Paramount Players, NPR, Color of Change, Mashable, Mike.com, Huffington Post, and Verizon Media. Yuki and Quincy, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I think you've brought some clips that you'd like to play of the work that you do, and if you'd like to introduce it in any way, and then share your screen, and we'll share the video with everyone. And
Nice.
just to warn everybody, sometimes the video can be like a little like the frame rate can change. It could be a little fuzzy, but I think we'll still see like the awesome filmmaking that you guys have put into it. So
Well, thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Yeah, that was great.
yeah.
So the first clip we're going to show is a trailer from a feature film that Yuki was associate producer on, and I wrote, directed, and did the score for. We did it with BET Films and Paramount Players, and we shot it last year, and it came out this year.
Oh, cool. I'm so excited.
All right,
All
so
Let me pull this
I
up.
think when you share your screen, turn your video off too, so that it'll just be the video itself.
Ah.
Unless you want to do like one of those like let's watch things where you guys react to it at the same time.
we're good.
Okay. How can I do this?
Stop video. There you go.
Stop video.
Yep. All right.
Department of Health and Human Services has indeed found evidence of a dreamer. His name is Alu Boakai.
Reverend Venus has visions just like you do.
You got a gift that might be preparing you for something bigger.
I have to figure out how it is that you are able to dream, but I think that you might be in danger.
Please, you can help me stop this.
Nice. That was cool. It came out really clean on the stream too, so everybody at home got to see the full effect.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's the trailer for my first feature film. It's called Alu the Dreamer, and it takes place in a world where mankind has been unable to dream for 3 decades, but a government agent finds a guy living in the projects who has suddenly started dreaming. So it's sci-fi drama kind of thing.
Yeah. What does that mean to dream? Is it literally how we dream now, and what does that mean in that world?
Yeah, so in the world, it's it's allegorical for like literal dreams and figurative dreams, like aspirations that we have. But in the film, it's presented literally. So it's like how we dream when we go to sleep. And the interesting thing is like, when we dream, dreams are a manifestation of our brains going through a process that it has to go through so that we can develop skills, so that we can learn how to interact with each other, so we can balance our mood. So it's actually a really important thing that we do. And the film takes place in a world where mankind has been unable to do that for 30 years. So
how's that world look like?
Yeah. How are we different as human beings? How is the world different? Yeah. So it's about all that stuff.
Nice. How did you come up with that as a concept? Why did that? How did that idea spark? And what's the allegory about? I mean, I don't want to give away the film too much, but I do want to give away the film a little bit.
That's okay.
I think every story comes from somewhere, right? Something very small, and then it just become bigger and bigger. For example, his idea was he was having a nightmare, like in actual life.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get rid of it.
So like I have really, really vivid dreams, like they feel like real life. And that means I have really vivid nightmares. And, poor Yuki, witnessed me just waking up screaming one night. And, she's used to it. So like, she was like, oh, calm down. And she went back to sleep, but I couldn't go back to sleep. And I thought, oh, it'd be nice to not have another nightmare ever, because it sucks. Yeah. And then I thought, but if I didn't have nightmares, then I wouldn't be able to dream. And I get a lot of inspiration from my regular dreams, and
sometimes he wakes up and get out and then start writing notes because he has some idea while he's sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then that just like Yuki said, that sent me down, like my thoughts snowballed, like, well, how would I be different if I dreamed? How would we all be different if we stopped dreaming? You know what I'm saying? so that was like kind of the seed that got me writing and thinking about the film.
Wow. And this is your first feature film, right?
Yeah, first feature. Yeah. Like I've done a lot of shorts. Yuki produces all my stuff for me. So like
all micro budget.
Yeah, pay out of pocket, that kind of thing.
What was it like for the two of you to work on something so much longer and I guess more intense probably than the shorts?
It was, like you said, intense. It was intense. It's really, for the short films that we've done, it's just us, and like we usually don't work with a crew. Like we own all of our gear. I'm like, a jack of all trades. So I write, direct, I edit, I do the score. So like I do color grading. So we usually don't have to go outside to do anything, not literally, we have to go outside, but like we usually don't have to get help. And doing the feature was different in that it's like this sea of people that are like, I directed it, so they're looking at me like, hey, what do you want? It's literally like 40 people like, hey, what do you want? So that was a change. That was intense. But I've been a filmmaker since I was 19. I'm 40 now. So like I'm one of these directors. I know what I want. Right? Like I'm very good at knowing exactly what I want and how to express that. So that helped. But
the vibe is completely different, but the stuff we are doing is just like times 100. It's the same thing, but it's just more with people. So one of the producers like asked me like, so before this set or before this production, what was the biggest crew you had? And I said, maybe 2 or 3. And then we had like 50 people on set.
Yeah.
So that was an experience.
Yeah.
How did each of you kind of adjust to your role with that like bigger responsibility or bigger group of people? Like what were some of the ways that each of you had to adapt to handle that?
I can go.
Yeah, you go first.
I couldn't do what I usually do because it's union work. Everybody is assigned to do a specific work. So usually I have to do 10 things.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching, the makeup of the actor's face or the lighting and all the elements that involves in the production. I needed to oversee it. But for this feature film, there are people to do that specific job. So like sometime I caught myself, I shouldn't touch this prop because there is a person who's in charge of it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a tricky and interesting and I needed to learn myself to stop touching stuff or noticing things or do stuff.
Yeah. And for me, I don't know, it felt the same. It felt the stakes were higher, of course. It's more money, more people, but I'm all about getting right down to the business of like figuring it out and getting it done and just like not screwing up. You know what I'm saying? So I over prepare. Like pre-production is really important to me. and having Yuki there to help me do that is really important. Just someone who knows my sensibility. So like before we got to set, I had been living with this film, trying to get it off the ground for 2 years before then. So by the time I got on set, like I said, when people ask, hey, what do you want? What's happening in this scene? I can just tell them, I'm also super collaborative, and that helps, because like, I like making people feel safe and involved, I'm directing, so it's my decision, but, making everyone feel like they're part of a team, it's fun. It's really the most fun I've ever had in my life. I've never had more fun doing anything than making a movie, It's also the most stress I've ever felt. Like an immense, I can't even begin to describe the amount of stress. But it's also like when you go to sleep after you've had a nervous breakdown and you're crying, and like literally having a nervous breakdown and crying, like, I'm a fraud, I'm a failure. You wake up the next day like, all right, do it again. Like it's weird, but
A lot of emotions.
a lot of emotions.
Do film sets have union like yoga instructors or anything to help the director and the producer with all of their stress?
They should.
For the higher budget films.
Yeah, for higher budget films.
I hope so.
It's funny, not to digress, but like there's a film that Darren Aronofsky did a couple years ago called Mother. And Jennifer Lawrence plays the lead, and it's a super stressful part. Yeah. And it was affecting her. So they built her like a yurt, like a Temescal for her to like escape into. Bigger budget films can do that kind of stuff.
Speaking of like creative things and creative problem solving, what are some creative choices that each of you have made either on that project or on some more recent projects that you were really excited about? Maybe it was a challenge that you took on or just an idea that you tried that you hadn't thought of before. What are some like creative choices that each of you made that you are kind of geeking out about currently?
Well, I know the time is kind of running out, so I'll go quick. First.
Take your time. We've been kind of.
Yeah, I'm excited about the video that we did together.
Oh yeah.
That's probably one of my first co-director credit work that I'm gonna put it out. So I'm kind of geeking out and excited for the world to see it.
What was it like to direct, to like take in that new role?
It was different because I like to support the director, and luckily I have Becca to support, so that helped me balance. Because if it was just me, I don't think I could handle it. But if there is somebody to balance out, I can see things clearly.
Just to clarify, this is Becca from Gentlemen Brawlers, their music video that you're talking about.
Yes.
It was you were co-directing that. Yeah, that's so cool.
And for me, I'm writing a lot lately, and this year has taught me to like really lean into who I am and like the stories that I want to tell and the intention that I want to bring to it, and just like hold steadfast to that. Because like there's a lot of noise. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, oh, you should change your script this way. You should do this. You should do that. And there's an inclination to like listen to those people. But this year I decided like, no, I'm going to do me, and I'm a musician as well. And like, I'm making some of the best music of my life because I'm like carrying that over into my music. But I like earlier this year, I did a project called 5 Improvisations, which is just like, it's just what it is. It's like improvisations. I told myself, you know what, this weekend I'm gonna record an EP. From Friday to Sunday, I'm gonna do it. And I locked myself in my studio. Didn't literally lock myself in there. I came out to eat, but like, I hold myself up in my studio and I just improvised these different instrumentals, like mostly piano. And then after I did the improvisation, I would build something around it. And by Sunday night, I had like 5 tracks and I put it out, and I didn't think about it, and having the freedom and the space to do that is really, really exciting, and carrying that mentality into other things I do, like my writing, my directing, my music, and all that stuff. It's really liberating.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting jazzed up about just that idea myself.
Yeah.
One more question for both of you, kind of along the same lines, but a little different. Is what are something that you would really like to do that you're kind of looking forward to that you haven't done yet, but either upcoming projects or just like an upcoming creative challenge that you'd like to take on?
For me, I would definitely want to shoot feature film again with this guy.
That's gonna happen.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm just putting out.
Yeah, it's gonna happen over and over again. For me, and when I was a kid, like I wanted to be an actor. You know what I mean? And I, found myself doing everything but, and I've acted in some things before, just like goofy stuff I would do with my friends or like, comedy stuff. But like at some point in my life, whether it's like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want to act. I want to,
Would you act in your own movie?
I don't know. I have no idea. See, I'm very scared, Connor. So like, I'm very afraid of it.
Why
But
is that different than being a director?
Yeah.
Why is acting different than any of the other things that you've done?
The reason why I'm so passionate about writing and directing is because it encompasses everything that I love to do. Like I love writing, I love directing, I love making music, I love being involved in all of it. And there's something, and I can express myself in a certain way, but like I'm expressing what I feel, but I'm not, and I'm tapping into it. But I feel like actors, the really great ones, tap into what's inside of them in a different way, and they use it. So like I'll tap into my insecurities or my fears to write a script to like give someone else to put their stuff on. So like it comes from me and I hand it over to them, and then it becomes theirs if I do it right,
Yeah.
And there's something that is really interesting to me about like tapping into something and applying it to somebody else's thing, just being on the other end of it. So like I'm tapping into something and I'm giving it to somebody else so that they can like polish it and make it theirs so that it can be everyone else's. But it'd be interesting for me to be like sort of the last conduit that expression goes through. You know what I mean? And I'm curious to see what I would do. You know what I mean? Because I have no idea. I might be terrible at it, but
I'm sure you'd be great. It reminds me of songwriting, about like you could take something that's very vulnerable and either make it very raw and like upfront, or you could like really hide it in your lyricism or the poetics of like the music theory that you do, or whereas if you're acting, it's like they're seeing you cry.
Exactly.
So
Let me ask you this: do you? Because you said something that really resonates with me. Because like when I write my lyrics, like sometimes I don't know what it's about until later. You know what I mean? So like it feels like a conduit, and I'm just like doing it. And then after it's recorded, maybe after it's out, maybe after someone tells me like what it means to them, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was writing about. Like, does that ever happen to you?
It happens to me a lot, but also I write songs like a screenwriter, where I like plan everything out and I have like a structure and a script and an outline first. Especially when when I produce my own beats for the music, I have to really, it's like choosing the wardrobe and the actors and the setting. So when I would choose like what chords or what instrument, I have to like, does this fit with the emotion of the song? So I start off with an idea and then I have to dig deeper and deeper into it to like be able to kind of tell my 50-person crew in my brain like what each of them has to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's me stress eating all of the food and be like, there's the 50-person crew in my head and they're like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're really excited to be here, man. And like,
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the cause that you're raising money for is really, really powerful. It's really great. We have another clip to show.
Oh yeah, please do.
If you have time, it's like
it's short. It's like a minute.
Clip.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of tribute to this cause.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's for a project I'm working on called Blackface, where it's like it's a series of short films that I'm doing that I hope to like, but it's for like art exhibition as opposed to theatrical release. So like I'm basically making.
We don't know the form yet.
Yeah.
But it's the idea is floating, and
Yeah.
it's one of the intro that we can present.
Yeah.
And
That sounds great. Yeah, let's do it.
Like an experimental short. So yeah. Play it real quick. Don't forget to turn off the camera.
How do I do it?
It's not video. Here we go. Okay.
I was watching my mother do my niece's hair, and it was so moving to me. I don't know exactly why, but I think it's because it felt like she was passing something down to her. It got me thinking, because I just started growing my hair recently, which I hadn't done in over 20 years.
Wow. There's something so touching about the intimacy of that. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to say like a tiny bit about that, or?
Yeah. So,
sorry.
So, like I said, the project Blackface is like it's a series of like experimental short films, and that was one of them. And the inspiration for that was like I started growing my hair out last year, like, and it's my first time doing that ever, because I've had like jobs up until I started working on the film, so I always like cut my hair or shaved my hair or whatever, and I decided I was going to grow it out, and it's been a journey, and last year we went to visit my parents, and my mom was talking to me about how to take care of my hair, because I've never had this much hair before, and while she was like talking to me about how to take care of my hair, she was doing my niece's hair, and I just like started shooting it, because there was something about the texture of her hands, you know what I mean, and like the generational thing, like here's something that her mother taught her how to do that she's now doing to my niece, and while she's teaching me how to do it, and like something about it felt very like legacy, like she was passing something down, and I shot it, I made that music around it, I like edited, then I like watched it while making that music, and bada boom, bada bing,
Yeah. I know that there's like the extra layer of race on it, which is why you give it the name Blackface.
Mm-hmm.
But just yeah, there's just the human emotion of it is so palpable that I think anyone can relate to it. And I think it, yeah, it's so beautiful that you're growing your hair out like that.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if it's good for, I don't know if it's my place to say anything about that, but
No,
it's nice that people like can be themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's doing for me. And I didn't expect that. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna grow my hair out, you know, I'm tired of cutting it, you know. But like in growing it out, I'm seeing it's like literally like there was a part of me that was hidden inside that's now coming out, you know. It's like figurative and literal. And like making it like curling it and making it crazy. Yeah, Yuki twists it for me, then I untwist it, then I keep it unraveled. And it's like just discovering another part of myself that was always there, that was dormant, but is now coming out, you know.
That's so cool. That's so awesome.
And I have long hair and I shaved.
Yeah, so we're switching.
That's pretty fly
like,
too.
She had her hair like down to here, maybe.
This is my first time having nice short hair.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
we're discovering ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being here. I have both of your websites and your Instagrams in the description so people can check out all of your work. And yeah, it was so much fun hanging out with you two.
You too, man.
You too.
Yep. All right. Take care,
All right.
guys. We're gonna welcome Evan now on. And by the way, the description is also the place where you can donate to the National Bailout, which we're raising money for today. Just want to remind everyone. And
Go do that.
Yeah, and here we have Evan.
Hey,
Evan Alexander Moore.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've been enjoying the hell out of the show. This has been amazing. I love the Bob Dylan cover because if you know me, Bob Dylan's my shit.
Let's see. Oh, you don't have Bob Dylan in your bio, but now you do.
Well, because it's so ingrained in there that I want to like even go further back in folk history and
Woody Guthrie.
Talk about the polar opposites or then till now, you know.
Oh, I get it.
Later.
All right, I'll read your bio so that people can know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Evan Alexander Moore is an experimental folk singer and songwriter based in Houston and New York City. In the gap between the Dust Bowl aesthetics of Woody Guthrie and the postmodern abstractions of Bon Iver lies Evan's music, a mix of classic folk songwriting with the sensibilities of someone who grew up in the 21st century. Nice. I love that juxtaposition.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, Evan Alexander Moore, everyone.
I'm gonna go ahead and start with hold on. Let me get all set up over here. I'm gonna start off with a tune off of my new album. It's called "The Backbone of America." I won't be going too experimental today. You have to listen to my music to hear that part of me. I hear broken melodies echoing down the maternity ward, where newborn babies are passing notes, discussing the next world war. Well, the sergeant came by, your son's died in Iraq. Now I know what they were talking about. Now they were talking about the backbone of America. Out by the river in Mississippi, goddamn, I hear murmurs down the trail. It was the friends of mine, they were going deaf or blind to the slurs that were hurled their way. Well, he was walking with melanin and he got shot in the back. Now I know what they were talking about now. They were talking about the backbone of America. Whispers over the dinner table. My parents, they were talking about them working class woes. And you know, with all the crippled bulls and economies, the bankers still have not seen jail bars, no. Well, now I'm waist deep in the Hudson and I'm scrounging around. Now I know what my parents were talking about now. They were talking about the backbone of America. Well, then I found strife and amphetamines. I found amphetamines in the Texas dive bar. The land of the free, she was calling me, asking for a better way. Out on the highway, I saw the sunrise. There I asked a vagabond if I could be reborn. 'Cause see, they issued a draft and they raised our taxes with no stimulus bill, asking for all that we got and more. Well, the drift kept going, but I didn't give up no hope. See, I hadn't found what I was looking for. All thanks to the backbone of America. For every painful knot in my back, there's another that's gonna push us forth. Every broken bone that takes the ones that we love, there's another that's gonna give us hope. And I hear it in every friend, and I hear it in every philosophy, every singer that's ever inspired me. They were singing about the backbone of, put your middle fingers up to the backbone of, oh, who gives a about the backbone of, oh, well, let's give a glass to the backbone of America. All right. Thank you guys so much. I can't see what's going on because I got my little set list over here. Everything around me is just like I tried to make it look nice and professional, but behind the scenes, everything is just all strewn about. It's the chaos zone over here. I'm gonna do a cover. It's a cover of one of my favorite tunes, and I've heard it before, but I really got into it over quarantine. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and play it. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. I wouldn't mind the hanging, but I'm living in the air so long, poor boy, I've been all around this world. Been around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas. All around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas. Got so goddamn hungry, I got a straw, poor boy. I've been all around this world. Went up on a mountain, there I made my stand. Went up on a mountain, made my stand. Rifle on my shoulder, and a dagger in my hand. Oh boy, I've been all around this world. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. me, oh, hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Wouldn't mind the hanging, but it's the laying in the grave. So long, poor boy, I've been all around this world. Put the rope around my neck, hung me up so high. Put the rope around my neck, put me up so high. Last words I heard him say, won't be long now before you die, poor boy. All around this world. So hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Hang me, oh hang me, I'll be dead and gone. Wouldn't mind the hanging, it's the laying in the grave. So long, poor boy. Cause I've been all around this world. I've been all around this world. I've been all around this world. Woo! All right. I don't know how many songs I got. I prepared about 6 or 7, but I'm only gonna play 4. So I'm gonna play a tune off of my album called Grand Little Symphony. I'm going to be playing a very different version from the one on the record. Called Grand Little Symphony. If you know the words, sing along. I can't hear anybody. Oh, God. Well, throw that in the trash. It's like all your idols took a shit on your work. Well, I write too much and I write too little. Either way, I'm still songwriting's whore. And I'm searching every filing cabinet in my mind just to try to find something pure. Well, goddamn, after all of this torture for every sure song that I write, I'm still so unsure. Dearest Evangeline, she held me in a corner store. She said, what's the matter, my dear? I said, all is fine in the eastern cities as I grab another 12-pack of beer. I know it's a strange little melody, but I sing like I broke my jaw. I know it's an odd little simile. Lately I've been trying so hard. I saw a man play a grand little symphony, and all he had was a guitar. Painting on stage his newest masterpiece, so I left with the door ajar. I left it ajar. Under every single corner, and there ain't no room left to explore. Well, I'm running and I'm running and I'm running, but there ain't no shelter from the storm. Get that reference? Then God spoke to me, at least that's who he said he was, and maybe it was the intercom. He said, my son, tell me about that song you wrote, and when I showed him, he didn't respond. I know it's a strange little melody. I dropped my pick. This is embarrassing. Where the hell did it go? I know it's a strange little melody, but I sing like I broke my jaw. I know it's an odd little simile, but lately I've been trying so hard. I I saw a man play a grand little symphony, and all he had was a guitar. Painting on stage his newest masterpiece, so I left with the door ajar. I left it ajar. I've been older and I've been getting older. I'm older and I'm getting older. I know it's a strange little melody, but I sing like I broke my jaw. I know that's an odd little simile, but lately I've been trying so hard. I saw a man play a grand little symphony, and all he had was a guitar. Painting on stage his newest masterpiece, so I left with the door ajar. Tried to call a car, but home for me was much too far, and the rain breaks down the reservoir, and I stumble back into the shanty bar, and I watch the stage fill up with superstars, and I try to write from the start, man, life is bizarre. I shouldn't have dropped my pick there, but that's how the cookie crumbles. I got one more song and maybe another if Connor tells me so, but otherwise, this is a little bit of a longer song. I guess I'll take this time first to say, if you can, down in the description box below, please donate to the National Bailout, an amazing organization, and they're doing great work. And with that, I'll go into my my tentative last song. It's a new song, a very new song, and it's about something that we've all been thinking about. There have been many a meme about it. It's about this past year, and kind of the fear that is produced when one thinks about, just the wild social construct that is time and the ever-ending maw that is infinity and our lives, and how it's so finite yet so expansive. That's a very heady way to describe my song, I'm Not Ready for Another Decade. If you can, on a separate note, it's coming out in a little less than 2 weeks. Whoops. It's coming out in a little less than 2 weeks, and it's about, you can go pre-save it on Spotify if you like, or iTunes, and it helps me out a lot, and if you can do that, that'd be great. But I'll focus right now on the song. It's called I'm Not Ready for Another Decade. I think I've played this at an online open mic once, so this is my first official playing of it. Here we go. Monday morning is for the communists. Outside smoking cheap cigarettes. The bar speakers are sending out serenades. Sounds recorded before the digital age. Down the block, there's a cop, he's faking his way to a check. Another farce, the funeral march gets hijacked by the white parade. I'm not ready for another decade. Monday morning is for all of the workers, from the drivers and the builders to the cooks and all of the servers. Weary-eyed trying to make the ends meet, buying the lie that you two can be an elite. In the long ivory halls, institutions, they make a sale. What empty gesture can we make instead of substantive change? I'm not ready for another decade. Monday morning is for all of my exes, New York to Texas and somewhere out in Paris. They're all living slowly, forgetting me. They're settling down or they're moving to Tennessee. Ever since I've been convinced I won't give my heart away, but I loved you more than I ever knew. I just hope you felt the same. I'm not ready for another decade. Monday morning is for me again. Sunlight creeping through the trees and the cobwebs. I'm packing up, I'm going to Wyoming. Taking a train somewhere less lonely. For a moment, I really thought I could make it out alive. My friend said, life's a play, you can dance or you can die. She said, I'm not ready for another decade. 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 Yes, there are a lot of parts to play in the shit show. No, I don't wanna know which role I'll have to play, 'cause I'm not ready for another decade. All right, thank you guys so much for listening and whatnot.
You definitely got time for another if you want.
Oh boy. I'll do another one, new one, just because I really am loving one, the song I've been writing recently, and two is they're just fun to play. Actually, hold on 1 second. What do I have? Actually, I might do a different one. I'm gonna do the closing track to my album Perennial Millennial. It's one of my favorite songs I've written. I feel like it needs to be in every karaoke bar ever. I really enjoy it. I hope you guys dig on it too. It's called If I Got You. My love, hold me tight. My love, hold me tight. There's no space for you and I in heaven. There's no space for you and I in heaven. See, I was in the Charleston and I fell down the stairs. I was witnessed by every handsome debonair. No, I do not live, nor do I belong in the Charleston. And I certainly don't belong in heaven. I threaten my ego every night with mean words and unknown lies, just to see my reflection in the water. If I'm stuck like this, well, why should I bother? Oh, my love, hold me tight. Oh, my love, hold me tight. There's no space for you and I in heaven. There's no space for you and I in heaven. I'm a bunch of plastic wrap. You're a pile of simmering trash. You know we're both gonna get thrown into the ocean. 'Cause there ain't no space for you and I in heaven. If there was a king and queen, if there's a God above, won't he see if we're the royalty? You must be mistaken. Scum like us, there ain't no space in heaven. My love, it's a long way down. It's easy to break a string. It's harder to keep it wound. My love, I don't want to lose you now. I just want to hold you close as the world comes on down. My love, there ain't no life for miles now. Why don't we just make love and make do for now? I think I'm an embarrassment. No, God alive, could love this mess. But you once said that I was a blessing. If I got you, then who the hell needs heaven? Oh, my love, hold me tight. Oh, my love, hold me tight. There's no space for you and I in heaven. There's no space for you and I in heaven. My love, it's a spiritual thing. Hold your note and try to sing. If it's too heavy, you can hand it off to me. And if we both sing off, then we'll both sing awfully. All right, that song is called "If I Got You." If you're curious about any of their songs, I have "Backbone of America," "Hang Me, Oh Hang Me" by Dave Van Ronk. It's a traditional song, but he most famously did it. Grand Little Symphony. My new song coming out in less than 2 weeks. I'm Not Ready for Another Decade, and then that song, "If I Got You." Thanks everybody for listening and whatnot. Yeah. Where's Connor? There he is.
Hey, that was so fun. Oh man, I was really like bobbing my head to that last one a lot too. Hey Ariel. While Ariel sets up, just have a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
Man, one of the things that I really love about your songwriting or just your songs is the songwriting, and there's such rich detail to the imagery, and it really feels deeply connected to that like folk tradition.
Mhm.
But can you talk about your songwriting process and how you get those rich stories and details in?
That's a really good question. Um, the main thing I do, and it to any creative saying this sounds like a weird, like, oh shit, you're doing what? But literally, it's and it's very common in both folk music and hip hop, but it's essentially listening to other people's stuff, and that's ground. That's the first step for me is listening to other people's music and hearing what I like and what I don't like. And a big part of the folk tradition, many of Bob Dylan's songs are like this, is just him listening to music and him hearing like an old Irish traditional folk song and then turning that into "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," or I forget the specific song, but "Blowin' in the Wind" is also based on another classic Irish folk song. Um, so I part of what I was talking about earlier with the fusion of the old and the new is accessing that way of writing songs from before. I mean, a lot of my songs are literally just repetitions of the same vocal melody, and then there's a chorus. You can see that clearly in a "Hang Me, Oh Hang Me," a traditional song, and then compare that to the song I just played. It's basically the same chord progression, the same melody, just kind of repeated over, but there's a kind of a choral hook, and then I do have the key change in that song, which is kind of where I deviate away from old folk songs. But honestly, the first step for me is just listening to old folk music and just really getting into a zone, and then really accessing, figuring out how can I make this more modern, how can I make this more new, but still write as if I was hanging out with Cisco and Leadbelly and Woody Guthrie back in the 40s and 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how do you make it more new and modern? Like what creative choices are you making to make it Evan Alexander more instead of just the folk tradition?
That's a great question. I think part of it comes with lyrics. Lyrics are the main thing. I tend to write very obtusely, not in like a vague way, but literally I just write a lot, which I think comes a lot from honestly just me listening to a lot of hip hop and just loving, you know, just these dense tombs of lyrics, like anything from Kendrick to Kanye to, oh hey, this is
He's
this is
sorry,
the
let's just
strangest skyscraper in New York City. That's cool.
yeah. Please
Uh,
continue.
okay, so oh crap. Yeah,
Dense lyrics.
it comes through mainly lyrically. A lot of it is very personal, and like you mentioned earlier, it's all about kind of how personal do I want to get, or do I kind of want to shroud it in a lot of imagery to where it's very hard to access what I'm trying to get at. That's kind of where it becomes me. The modern part is mostly just working a lot with working in a DAW and turning a traditional folk song into something a little weirder, something a little bit more updated, clear, crisp. Could include totally different instruments than what you might hear in your typical, like even early Bob Dylan album. Just kind of expanding the genre a little bit, similar to a lot of great artists that are out right now, like The National, Bon Iver, Fleet Foxes, Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, and all that. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, that's kind of the answer to that one.
Cool. Just one more question before we move on to Ariel. You said you were writing new music, and I really, really love the new song that you played, the one that whose pre-save link is in the bio or the description right now that everybody can save. And
on there. Get on it.
What are some of the things that you're exploring in the new music? Whether is it like new creative challenges or maybe new emotions or lyrics or stories? Like, what are some what's special about the new stuff? Or
What's special about the new stuff is me trying to do it's twofold. It's one, literally doing all the production and trying to do the mixing and mastering all by myself. There's an interview with this amazing artist named JPEG Mafia, and in the interview he says, "Why would I pay some dude to fuck up my shit when I could fuck it up on my own?" Referring to mastering engineers. Sorry to mastering engineers, but y'all are expensive. So that's a big ethos for me right now, is like figuring out how to do all of this on my own. That's a creative challenge. One. The second part, and a big part of the new stuff I'm working on, is inspired by being stuck in my room, being in quarantine, which is reaching out to a lot of friends and getting them involved on the songs. So hopefully, if I cobble together a nice little album out of this, every single song, or almost every single song, is going to be all collaborations of some sort. It could be as far as like someone gets a whole verse and it's just a two-way street, or it could be my song and then people add different instruments to kind of give it a little bit of a flair, just a totally different feeling. So that's kind of the goal of the new stuff, is to produce it all myself and then involve as many people as possible to feel like I'm close with all the people that I've met over in New York City, and keeping that community together.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. That I'm so geeked out about that idea, because that's basically the same idea about what the festival is about.
Mhm.
And so I really appreciate you being a part of my weird collaboration here and sharing your stuff.
Yeah, thank you for putting it together. This is amazing, and it's for a great cause, and there's amazing music all around, and obviously great filmmakers as well, and all that. So I'm super stoked just to be a part of it, and play music again. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, we'll hang out soon. We'll talk soon, but I'm going to say goodbye. And Maria, I'm actually going to welcome on Ariel because we are so late, because I'm having too much fun hanging out with everyone. So all the segments are going long. So are you reacting to me, but you're looking off screen? I'm not sure if you're talking to Tony.
Yeah, my monitor's over there. We were just checking in, so we were in the room. So you can boot us out and we'll come back in and be in the waiting room.
Okay, cool. Everyone stick around because Maria is really amazing too. But first we have, speaking of amazing filmmakers, Ariel Viera, the Ariel Viera, as many of his socials say.
The one and only. Well, there's actually more, but
there's actually more. As a Connor Sullivan, one of the millions of Connor Sullivan, I feel the pain.
Ariel Viera was taken, so I just wanted to be the definitive one.
Well, you are the definitive one. I'll read your bio and then we'll get started. So Ariel Viera has been exploring cities and their secrets for the past 4 years on his show Urbanist. He's also a filmmaker and writer. Nice. Succinct.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being so patient. Like I said earlier, I've been having too much fun hanging out with everyone, so I haven't been able to stick to my timeline at all.
No worries.
But you have some films to show us, and then we'll talk about them. Would you like to introduce them before you show them?
Yeah, of course. So I've been making videos on Facebook for 4 years, mostly live, and I've also done vlogs and 360. And recently I've been exploding in growth in both YouTube and TikTok. And TikTok is a very different beast from long form live videos or vlogs. They're 1-minute videos. So I have 2 different TikTok videos. On TikTok, I'm embracing more of my other interests. So on Urbanist, it's all about travel, history, and food. And on my personal interests, I write a lot about spirituality, personal development, And also I just love writing. So on TikTok, I'm exploring both levels. That's why on TikTok, I'm just at Ariel Viera rather than at Urbanist. So I'm going to show 2 videos, one that's very in line with what I already do on Urbanist. And then the second video is aligned with what I do on Urbanist, but also has that kind of more of my personal flair to it. All right.
Awesome. I'm excited.
So let me show you my 2 videos. Each of them are 1 minute. I'll show them back to back. So let me
when you share them, turn your video off so that you can see just the video full screen.
Okay, cool. Let me do that.
Yeah.
So we get all set up. Okay, share screen. And why isn't the just give me a second, and we're doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live.
But it's not letting me know that I can see QuickTime. And we're going on QuickTime right now. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I don't hear the sound. Can you start it over?
You don't hear sound?
No.
Is there any way I can share sound as well?
Oh yeah, when you go share options in the top share screen, there's a little checkbox that you have to check. So on the bottom, when you go share screen, there's all the different screens you can share, and then there's share computer sound, and also optimize for screen sharing, optimize video for screen sharing.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah, just give me a second. Optimize video for screen. Okay. Pardon my lack of Zoom knowledge.
It's all good.
All right.
It's a very weird interface.
All right, we're starting again. Now you're seeing everything fine?
Yep, I can see everything fine. Yeah.
All right, cool.
This is the strangest skyscraper in all of New York City. 29 stories tall and has no windows. It only has 2 stories of protruding vents. Designed in 1974 by John Carl Warnicki, it was originally dubbed Project X. It's believed that the walls are fortified to withstand a nuclear attack. It's made out of red Swedish granite, and the basement is also a fallout shelter that can house 1,500 people. Officially, this is the AT&T Long Lines building that houses data servers. But in 2013, Edward Snowden leaked thousands of top-secret documents to the general public. One of those documents was about a building called Titan Point, which the NSA used to surveil on the American public, having nearly unlimited access to all their cell phone calls and emails. All the clues in that document led to this being believed to be Titan Point. But who knows what other secrets might lurk inside this building? Stay curious, my friends.
All right, and let's go to
Here's a brutal review of a brutalist bench in DC's Metro. For the longest time, I've been...
All right. Sorry about that.
The sound came through great on that one. That was so
cool. All right, now
sound on that too.
Are you seeing the screen for this one?
Not yet.
All right. Just give me a second. Cool. All right. Now for the second TikTok. Get ready.
Here's a brutal review of a brutalist bench in DC's Metro. For the longest time, I've been conflicted about brutalism. At first glance, it reminds me of mall garages, a symbol of America's suburban manifest destiny that extend roads like tentacles, choking a nation from its natural and urban beauty. What was once stone carved from the hands of craftsmen has been replaced by cold machinery. Thus, sitting on this bench, I feel a contradiction. I'm both comforted and confronted. Comforted by the cool, porous feel of the concrete, but confronted by the uncomfortable backside. At first happy, and then quickly realizing that the raw concrete slabs will never bring true peace to my behind nor my soul. This bench is all ego, but no heart. I dream of a world where benches are an object of beauty. A bench is not just a bench is the place which we see the world pass by. Contemplating our past trials and tribulations and looking with hopeful eyes towards our future. Thus, while beautiful, it's not really comfortable.
All right.
I love the bench score at the end, the 4 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let me. How do I go back to regular?
Did you have a third one? I think you talked earlier about a third one, and I think we might as well take the time to play it if you want to.
See if I can find it. All right. So grab the third one, and which one should I show? Okay, I'll show one more urbanist. Like, actually, I'll show you my entire spectrum. I'll show you more my spirituality one. All right.
Nice.
And how do I
It'll be nice to see the three and have the full spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So how do I switch to the other screen again?
It's share screen, and then it'll pop up.
I got it. All right, perfect. Yeah. All right. Now for the third one.
It's not a coincidence that you're seeing this right now, because I have a message for you. Follow the synchronicities that appear in your life. They are breadcrumbs that lead you to unforeseen possibilities. Our brains trick us to think that life is linear, logical, and literal. But the truth is that life is like water. Life flows in unpredictable ways, finding pathways through the tiny cracks. It's impossible to predict the machinations of the ocean from the perspective of a single drop. Therefore, the coincidences that happen may not be pure randomness. They just might be a sign that is not fully comprehensible from the small lens with which we view the world. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments.
All right, there we go.
Wow, beautiful.
So
I'm so glad that we saw all three. You know, my first question for you was originally going to be, how do you take these long form urbanist live streams that you had done or still do, and make them, like, change them so that they fit in the TikTok format? But watching them, and especially watching all three of them back to back like that, it's so obvious. It's like it works so beautifully as these like single little it feels like the difference between listening to a full album and sitting in your chair and really relaxing to it, and then hearing, like, these TikToks are like hearing your favorite song pop up, and it's just this like beautiful moment that's exactly precisely like one complete story.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you think so.
I do think so. I'm not sure if does that resonate with you? What was your mindset when you first started changing to that new format?
It does. I mean, the reason I do live video is because I used to hate being brief. I hated being kind of succinct and straight to the point. I just love kind of exploring conversation and kind of going deeper into topics. So that story, the first one of the windowless skyscraper, is actually one of the first. I did it on live video about 2 years ago, and before that time, I used to do live videos where I would go to a neighborhood and just say like little tidbits and little random facts of the neighborhood, similar to a tour guide. But my gimbal broke, which is the thing that stabilizes my video. And since I didn't have a gimbal, I thought to myself, let me not do a long walk on live video with shaky video. That would just look terrible. So let me just do a video on one location. And that one location was that windowless skyscraper. Now, when I went on, I thought I was going to do a 10-minute live video or 15-minute live video, because that story I can tell fairly quickly. It ended up being over an hour. I was standing in front, in the cold, of that windowless skyscraper, telling the story of how crazy this project was. And the story goes much deeper than that 1 minute TikTok. And I had over 40,000 people tune in live, which was way higher than I expected for this kind of tiny little niche story. And at that moment in time, I end up realizing, wait a minute, my gift maybe is not in tour guiding. My gift is in telling stories. So lo and behold, 2 years, fast forward, TikTok comes out during the pandemic, and I'm scrolling for endless hours, as probably many other people are. And I look at all these people dancing and doing comedy videos, and I think to myself, I want to go viral there. But I don't dance, and I'm not really funny. Like, that's not my prerogative. I'm not a comedian. So, but I just thought to myself, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to go viral. And I condensed that story into 1 minute. and ended up getting more than 4 million views.
Wow.
So how do I condense that story to 1 minute? I just go at, so not that video was not scripted. Almost all my TikToks are not scripted, except for that bench review was written down beforehand. But that was not scripted. That was me telling in snippets from the heart, kind of telling the story, and then just re-recording it and try to get it down into one minute packed with information.
It makes sense that you would re-record it, because I was going to say, when my heart is speaking, it takes at least like 5 minutes just to mumble.
Right. So I've had a lot of practice telling long form stories on live video, because you just gotta speak without second guessing yourself, and also it's important to not rush yourself either. So that type of spontaneous speaking is key to telling a story that really gets you on the edge of your seat. The best writers write, spontaneously, but you don't see them doing it because it's a solitary act. But when you're telling a story out loud, it's best if it feels like it's spontaneous, and the best way to make it feel spontaneous is to make it actually spontaneous.
Where are you finding these stories? Like, how do you know so much about that building, or all the different things that you're reviewing, or like that you're going into tour guides? Oh, it looks like you froze. Nope, you're just listening intently.
Dude, I am.
How do you have such a wealth of knowledge about all these places? What is that like research practice like, or how do you, when you're going to do some videos, like how do you prepare for them?
That's a great question. Since I cover history, I always tell people I'm not a historian, nor am I a journalist. So what I do is not academia. I'm not giving a lecture. So a lot of my sources are secondary and tertiary sources. So of course I go to Wikipedia like anyone, but beyond Wikipedia, I do podcasts, I go documentaries, I see YouTube videos. But my research process is not so specific. I try to stuff my brain with whatever I find interesting. I follow the breadcrumb trail of the things I like about the story. And if something interests me, like, ooh, I want to learn about that building material. Let me learn what Swedish granite is. Ooh, let me learn about the history of nuclear weapons. I just follow those random things that interest me. And I've learned to follow my gut instinct in whatever interests me, because by following that gut instinct, I end up finding really interesting connections in these stories that you usually haven't seen in other forums, maybe a podcast or a documentary or an article on the newspaper. So that's how I find those nuggets of gold when it comes to telling a story.
What do you think makes people resonate with those videos? I mean, I could see why. Like, I was really excited. Like, what is it about the videos that you do, whether they're the long form or the short form, that you think connects to so many people in that like broader audience? Like, I'm definitely engaged, but like, what is it about it? Do you know? Do you purposefully do something to try to engage that larger audience, or what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best question, Connor, that you could ask.
I thought I had my 1 minute of mumbling in the middle of that question.
That's truly the best question you can ask. The key to me is that resonates with so many people. I can literally talk about anything, not to gloat, but part of the craft of storytelling, I see it as talking literally about anything and making it interesting. So I've always challenged myself to, for example, that second video, to talk about a random bench and make it interesting. And that key is fascination. If I'm fascinating, me personally, deep down inside, or if someone asks me to tell a story about something, I gotta find whatever fascinates me in that subject matter. Then that translates into the story being told, and I think that's what resonates with people. That bench video, when I posted it, I thought it was gonna get, maybe a few thousand views, maybe 10,000 views on TikTok, because I thought to myself, yeah, it's a bit funny, and it might appeal to a few people who kind of nerd out about architecture. That ended up getting 450,000 views. It blew up out of nowhere. And I think it blew up because it came from the heart. And people, people who watched it weren't necessarily architectural nerds. Not all 450,000 people were. Some were, but some people just watched it just because they were interested in a man who was interested about a bench.
Yeah. If I had seen it out of context, I wouldn't have thought that it was like an architectural review with heart. I would have thought that it was a very like heartfelt poem that was like written with the creative structure of a review. It felt like a heartfelt poem and like a love letter first and foremost.
It is.
It is, right? Yeah.
It is.
You think about those short pieces as poetry?
To me, yeah. I think about it as prose poetry, which was a form popularized by one of my favorite writers, Khalid Gibran, who wrote The Prophet. So yeah, I consider it prose poetry. I've been a writer longer than I've been a filmmaker. So I've been writing for more than 10 years. Before I started making Urbanists, I wrote a daily music blog for 6 years. And a lot of those blogs were prose poetry.
Now it's all coming together. It all makes sense.
Yeah. So I tend to kind of in order to make something poetic, I think to myself, I can give a straight review or I can tell a straight story, but there's a bunch of people who already done that. Why do I need to do the same? So I said, F it, I'm just gonna do it poetic. And if it sounds self-indulgent or pretentious, then that's on the people who want to see it that way. I'm having fun, and I think that's what matters most.
Yeah, absolutely. What brought about the change between like the 3 videos from doing the things that are more spiritual or more personal? Like, how did you start to do more of those things or like include more of those things?
Yeah, so great question. For me, and I think for the people who might be watching, I've learned as an artist that the way to be the best artist is to be as authentic as possible, to be as deeply connected with your corest self as possible. And of course, that sounds easier said than done. But one way of doing it is by sharing your art that you think people might not like, or your art that might not you superficially seem like it's popular. So with TikTok, I decided to go back to my roots of writing about spirituality, philosophy, and personal development. So that was my thinking behind it. I just want to put it out there and really expose myself. Paulo Coelho, the writer of The Alchemist, said that the most acceptable form of being naked in public is writing. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with him. That's or for me, it's filmmaking. I was putting myself out there, and by putting myself out there, all right, people already see who I am. I don't need to hide anything anymore. And the moment I have nothing to hide, nothing weighing upon my shoulders, my true art can be shared with the world.
Wow, that's a poem in itself. How does it feel to do that?
You know what? It's very damn freeing. It feels good. I feel like I'm meeting more interesting people in my life. I'm connecting with my friends who I already known deeper. Like yourself and the people at the sound shop and everything. I feel like I'm more in tune. By being more in tune with myself, I'm offering more value to friends, family, and to audiences.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all so grateful that we get to know like all of the different colors that you have inside of you, and instead of like only getting to know like a portion of you, get to know like the full the Ariel Viera.
Yeah, I mean, you inspired me with your rap.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, seeing you kind
Go
of,
on.
especially when you perform it, I see the true, genuine you. Not that you don't share the genuine you in other times, but like it really comes out in full clarity when you rap, and you feel it viscerally. So I thought to myself, God damn, I gotta do more of that as well.
Well, yeah, we could work on your rap.
Well, not rapping specifically, but sharing yourself.
Well, I think it's interesting. It's sort of like what we were talking about with Quincy when he was talking about acting versus writing. And I think there's something really freeing about being on stage because it's sort of permission to be honest and vulnerable. And people are like expecting you to emote and to be whatever, like all of the colors. Like you have permission to do that. And I think when I'm writing, sometimes I'm working to get to a place where I can have the freedom that you're talking about. Because in stage, I've already prepared a full script and I know that the script is strong and tight. But when I'm writing, sometimes I spend too much time on something, or I get kind of caught up because I'm trying so hard to create a stage where I have permission to be honest. And I think I'm trying to explore like how can I be honest right away, and then still go back and edit and do the craft of things. But like you said, like that that vulnerability, that like nakedness in public, I think that's really admirable, especially when you're doing all of these live things like that you do. Um, it's really inspiring actually to hear how like beautifully that's going for you, and to see the work that it's produced. Like that bench poem was beautiful. And if you had been afraid at all about like, it's just a stupid bench, then we wouldn't have been able to experience it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Those are very sweet words. You know what? Like, back in last December in 2019, I self-published my first sci-fi novella.
Oh, cool.
And it's called Retrowave. And it was my first like formal piece of fiction, work of fiction. And I've always wanted to write fiction, especially sci-fi. And as I was writing it, I self-published it like around late February. So I wrote it in December. And I actually wanted to write it before 2020 started, so I can start 2020 by calling myself a screenwriter slash fiction writer.
Yeah.
And I had a deadline, 11:59, December 31st, 2019. And I actually ended up finishing it at 11:30. So I spent New Year's Eve at home writing. And it could have been the best way to spend New Year's Eve. But speaking about writing, one thing I challenged myself while doing it, since it was my first piece of fiction is daunting because you're truly creating your own universe, your own story. And when you read the stories of others, it seems so like well put together. So I challenged myself to write like I would tell a story, or like to do a conversation like this. I challenged myself to not look back at all in my first draft. To just go forward, regardless if I think the story is going nowhere, regardless if I'm lost, regardless of whatever, second guessing. I said to myself, just go forward. Partly was because of the self-imposed deadline, but by going forward by any means necessary, I was able to make a story that felt truly, from my perspective, it felt truly at the edge of your seat. It felt like it went in places I did not expect. And that wouldn't have happened if I were to be so self-analytical and try to plan too much. And the reason I end up getting that inspiration was because, have you ever seen or read Game of Thrones? Yeah, so Game of Thrones is an extremely intricate piece of literature. There's hundreds of characters and at least like 24 main characters. George R.R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones, writes Game of Thrones freestyle. He does not make a plan or make like a chart or plans things out or writes an outline. He does not write an outline. He just goes with it. Dozens of characters, and somehow he made it work in this intricate piece of fantasy.
Yeah.
So if he could do it, then damn.
Well,
might as well try. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of moving forward, we have to move on next. But one more question while Maria gets set up. I'm just gonna text her to come on in. But speaking of like moving forward and trying new things, what are some like creative challenges or goals that you are looking forward to in this upcoming year? Or like what's the next creative challenge or endeavor that you want to try?
Yeah, I want to do two things. I want to turn live video on its head. So I just want to do something really innovative with live video. I have no idea what that is. And then the second thing is I want to make a sci-fi film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you'll see that some point, and maybe not in theaters, but in streaming, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds so exciting. I can't wait. I hope there's bench reviews in the sci-fi film.
There will be benches.
Yes, there will be benches. The benches
All
are
right.
coming. Well, Ariel, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me and
My pleasure.
for sharing all of the amazing work that you do. And I think both your TikTok and your Instagram and your website, they're all in the description so that everybody can check them out. Really, really cool stuff down there. So thank you so much for hanging out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for running this. Have a great day.
See you soon. Okay. Cool. All right. Hey, Maria.
Hi, Connor.
Thank you so much for being patient.
No problem.
I've been getting carried away. Everybody's so cool. Let me introduce you, or do you want to check your sound again since you came back into Zoom?
Yeah, I think. Can you hear that piano still?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, cool. So
That's my sound.
Maria Caputo is a songwriter, singer, and pianist. She's a composer at the BMI Musical Theater Workshop. She helms Brooklyn-based trio Classy Dame and also lends her keys and vocals to Lily and the Goddams. This summer, she released Curious, a fully orchestrated single diving into the wonder of the universe, with an accompanying amphibious, partially underwater music video. Yep. I can attest the underwater stuff was real cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. I got a lot of water up my nose filming it. That's all right.
Sacrifices for art.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, everybody, Maria Caputo.
All right. Great. Hi, I'm Maria. I'm gonna play an assortment of different things. I have my master spreadsheet of all the songs I've ever written here in case I run into a need for more songs, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to play something that I intend to be an EP. It's basically a 3-song cycle and then a single. Plans for this are to have a full string section behind it. Maybe some other instruments. Okay, this is... What am I calling this thing? This is Snow, Torch, Ocean, followed by Powerless. casket's eye to watch you tread your safer path that money bought you. Start an avalanche just to hear the thunder. Raise the olive branch, but rend it asunder. Bring me a torch, bring me a knife, bring me a ladder. I'll climb to the top and fight for my life to show that we matter. Bearing the torch and wearing the crown, we'll burn this whole place down. Don't give up the ghost. You're no heavenly host. Don't give up the ghost. You're no heavenly host. Bring me a torch, bring me a knife, bring me a ladder. I'll climb to the top and fight for my life to show that we matter. Bearing the torch and wearing the crown, we'll burn this whole place down. Don't give up the ghost. You're no heavenly host. Don't give up the ghost. You're no heavenly host. You're no heavenly, heavenly. You're no heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. You're no heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. You're no You're no heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. You're no heavenly, 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 heavenly. You're no Been having little quiet thoughts about you, but I know it's not my place, and I know it's not your time. Before I close my eyes and be without you, but now I see your face in the corners of my mind. I could drown you. I spent a year in the dark. I spent a year on the phone. I couldn't tell us apart. I couldn't leave you alone. I spent a year in the dark. You spent a year on the phone. I couldn't tell us apart. I couldn't leave you alone. Alone. You'd think by now that I'd be used to the spin, but I need to get these crossing wires uncurled. Truth is, you make me feel too big for my skin and too small for your world. I'm too small for your I tried to center my grief in gratitude. I tried to quiet my mind, as if adopting a leafy attitude would bring me peace of some kind. I would rage like an ocean on fire, but I'm powerless. I'm powerless against the forces of nature. Powerless. 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 Science tells us you're half of me. My half was hidden inside. So I'll consider the mortal math of me as I spill over the tide. I would rage like an ocean on fire, but I'm powerless. I'm powerless against the forces of nature. Powerless. Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So that song I just played was Powerless. It was preceded by trio Snow, Torch, Ocean, which may have felt like two songs. The introduction to the first is going to be extended on the recording. All right, let's try to transition out of this. This is a song I wrote for my band Classy Dame. It's called What's a Heart? You're worried that you'll get too close. Worried you might see something worth crying about that you can't fix in post. You're worried you might see something worth trying and failing at it over and over. But what's a heart if it isn't being broken and repaired? The very things that make me happiest are things that make me scared. What's a heart if it isn't being broken? If it isn't being broken? I know that they have heard your pride. I know that there's so much to be angry about, but can you set that aside? Their only goal is breaking, unmaking, and tangling you over and over. But what's a heart if it isn't being broken and repaired? The very things that make me happiest are things that make me scared. What's a heart if it isn't being broken? If it isn't being opened? If it isn't being broken open? Just a muscle making sound, pumping oxygen around to everything. Just a muscle making sound, pumping oxygen around to everything. A muscle making sound, pumping oxygen around. That one's more fun to play with my friends, but still okay to play solo. You know what? We're gonna keep it heavy. Why not? It is a December song. This is another one I wrote for the band Classy Dame. It's set in Yonkers and New York City. If we got any Yonkers people in the house, I know we got some New York City people in the house. Arches across the river, with train tracks along the way, an image of a young man who never aged a day. Oh, the holly and the ivy and the chain link fence frame his portrait. Decorations gathered at their own expense. To adorn it, they gather on the bridge in the daylight in December. Now they are cartographers. They know how to plot the land, how to designate on a lamppost the last place she raised her hands. Oh, the syllables of bitter words in black and white, all but show it. The ribbon of a raven-colored cloth pulled tight and a bow below it. It shivers in the winds and the daylight in December. strange to know. All right. That's called Daylight in December. Bit of a sad holiday tune. Yeah, I seem to mostly have downers tonight. I'm gonna play a tune. If you were here at my earlier stream today, you're gonna hear it again. Maybe I'll play it a little better this time. This is called A City's Good. A city's good for spending time alone with people you will never know. Best believe you'll leave your mark on closet-sized apartments and cafes where you will while away your days looking for your light as you're traveling through the dark. Will they line the streets with gold for your arrival, or tell you you're too old to start again? The city's good for spending time alone with people you may never know. Heaven bless you if you got the time to spend. Oh, heaven bless you if there's a heaven in the end. They tell me it's dumb luck. Dumb luck. Do you think that there's a heaven? Do you think we'll ever make it? Will we roll a lucky seven? Plant our garden or forsake it? Do you think that there's a heaven? Do you think we'll ever make it? Will we roll that lucky seven? Tend our garden or forsake it? All right. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, definitely. Go for it.
You guys, I have like this color-coded chart of this is not a brag. This is like spreadsheets. If my friend Shauna is listening, she's the one who taught me how to do rainbow charts, and she's the one whose Zoom Hanukkah party I'm going to be crashing in a couple days, singing the I Am Malatka song at the top of my lungs. So, you know what? Let's do just I don't know. I feel so unprepared. There's so much time. Yeah, if you want to know what that song sounds like, the chorus, I don't remember what the verses are, but the chorus is I am a latka, hey, I am a latka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a latka, hey, I am a latka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. So that's what usually when I'm there with her in person, I can bully her by yelling that, but over Zoom, I feel like we're probably going to be on mute. So that was my opportunity to do that. Yeah. Oh, park song. Yeah, that's cute. We'll do that one. Here we go. This is a tiny song I wrote one time. I walked into Central Park when I was still living in New York, and I kind of impulsively wrote a song, recorded the vocals on my phone, and then when I got home, I recorded a keyboard accompaniment to it. So I'll kind of embellish it a little bit, but this is kind of what it sounds like. There's an expected light at sunset when everything you love is going down. All the trees are facing westward, and their slender leaves have donned a golden gown. I That's some songs from me.
That was beautiful, Maria. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks. I have my dear partner Tony at the controls today. So Tony, is it possible to move Connor's face to the left? I'm looking at you, but you're just on a monitor to my right. Okay, now I can see Connor. Great.
Shout out to Tony. Amazing work on the sound.
Yes. There's his thumb.
His thumb.
That's all you're getting, folks.
I was actually really surprised by the choices of songs that you chose today. I think the "A City Is Good For" that song is it sort of has like the tongue-in-cheek deadpan humor and like sharp lyricism that I like that I saw in like Classy Dame, for example, and which I absolutely love. And I think I was blown away and really moved by the tenderness and the sincerity of all the songs that you played today.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I did play a stream earlier today where I ended up playing more songs than I thought I would, and I was like, how do I not overlap? And then I was like, well, we'll just do the big bads and
the big
get
bads.
them out. Just like the things that I'm actually like keeping close to my heart. I'm like reticent to share. I'm reluctant, I guess, to share those yet because the way I see them, they're going to be much larger. But yeah, I thought I would see if I still got it. And I got through the songs with few mistakes, so that's nice.
What did it feel like to share them? The ones that you've been kind of holding in.
Yeah, the trio is really cool. The triptych, I'm calling it, like I'm an artsy fartsy person.
I love triptychs. I love that word. Go for it.
It's really fun. Well, so that first movement, that's like the let's go back to regular piano sound. That's like usually Lily Desmond is playing that high melody on her violin. So I'm like covering everyone's bases tonight, which is another reason I didn't play as many Classy Dame songs, because they're we're just a trio, but without bass and drums and other vocals, sometimes it's a little like it's not as hip and groovin'. So it's like, let me pick stuff that'll be solo stuff, and also like powerless, like I don't know, I feel like we need stuff like that right now. I wrote that after my grandmother passed, and like we haven't had a big moment for this was 2 years ago, but like that sort of wailing hasn't been possible for everyone in this time.
Yeah, I remember when you had shared it on like YouTube or Instagram, like I was really moved by it. And when you started playing it, I was like, is that from a musical? I remember that somewhere. It's such a beautiful song, and I think you're right about like needing those emotional catharsis. So thank you for giving us that gift.
Yeah.
Can you talk to? Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay.
I said glad to.
Can you talk a bit about your writing process? Whether you're writing one of Gus actually in the comments said big beautifuls instead of big bads. So I agree with Gus.
Thanks.
But whether
They're
you're
bad
writing
not in quality, but just in intimidation factor.
Gotcha. Yeah. Whether you're writing one of those big bads or big beautifuls, or writing like a Classy Dame song, like what are the different processes or from like soup to nuts of each of them?
Yeah, well, so a lot of my process has really changed since I joined the BMI musical theater writing workshop, where I must collaborate with someone else. And I love collaborating. I don't like being the only voice in the room, which is another reason those songs are scarier, because no one else really had input. but that's really, where you're putting it bit by bit together with someone else. But for a lot of these songs, they came out of, I often think of like a line of lyric already with a melody associated with it, or I'll be turning a weird phrase over and over and singing it different ways, and when I record it into my phone I can listen back to it later. So like that, I didn't play it tonight, but the Classy Dame song that's Feed the Tiger, it's just, I had this loop that I recorded after tuning someone's piano. I like improvised that and I was like, ooh. So a lot of things come out of improv, and then I looped that like 8 measure loop for like half an hour one time when I was driving in New Jersey, and it figured out what that sounded like Feed the Tiger, and that didn't make any sense, but it was still a lyric. Yeah, with musical theater lyrics you have to be a lot more specific. The audience has to get it right away if possible, because they're only going to hear it once and they're trying to follow a whole story and characters. And when you're making indie music, you can just be like mysterious. So I left a lot of stuff to mystery in these songs as opposed to what I've been working on lately. Most of these songs that I played tonight are several years old at this point.
In the workshop, what are some of the things that you've been learning or like really taking away from that experience? And can you talk a little bit about what that is for people who don't know?
Yeah, so the BMI Lemon Angle, which is the guy who founded it, musical theater writing workshop, has been going on since the 1960s, and it's young composers and lyricists in the musical theater side of the entertainment or arts industry, whatever you want to call it, and they come in and they're given songwriting assignments and paired with a collaborator for a different collaborator each time for like 8 songs the first year. Then you pick a collaborator who you really like working with. In my case, the lovely lyricist Allison Light. And so for the second year, we are writing songs as if we were going to write act 1 of a show. So we are taking the story of Stardust. We're going for the 2007 movie because it's easier to just watch a movie again than it is to read the book it's based on. Sorry, Neil Gaiman. And we're writing songs for in that like fantasy world for those characters, which is really fun.
Do you approach like writing for fantasy characters differently than when you're doing like something about yourself, or how much actually, like, I guess the songs that are more for yourself or for Classy Dame, how personal are those, and how do those compare to the BMI stuff?
Right. A teacher once told me, you can use your life as a template, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay true to the facts. Just like use that as a going off place. I do put some of my thoughts and experiences into stuff I write for myself or Classy Dame, but it's always in a fictionalized artistic sense. Like, you might be imagining like the Daylight in December song. One of the first things I noticed when I was living in Yonkers for a year, there's a poster with this young man who had passed away, and that's just on the bridge. It's this permanent roadside vigil. And one day I came across his family changing the decorations from like floral spring summertime to Christmas decorations. And I was like, what is that like? What is that like to be that person? And that kind of curiosity is what leads a lot of story songs. And I guess, with musical theater, you're trying to get to the heart of what would that character say? What would that character sound like? and you have to know the rules of the world. So like, we're not gonna put "I checked my iPhone" into our Stardust musical because he's not gonna check his iPhone. That's not correct.
So what you're saying is you've never actually fed a tiger?
Correct. I've not
Damn, I
fed a
feel so
tiger,
lied to.
but yes, that's like an attempt at like a very strange metaphor. And I'm sorry to talk about a song I didn't play, but we have a very fun video of that on the Classy Dame YouTube, or you can look us up on Instagram at ClassyDame69, because all of us were born in 1969. That's why we picked that number.
No other reason.
No other reason.
Yeah. Speaking of other things, harmonically, like you're such a talented pianist, and I think it was so cool to see like very straightforwardly focused on your piano playing. There was a moment where you even used like the pitch bend wheel in the first song. I was so excited, and I think you have such a mastery of pitch and harmony and all of those kind of musical theory things. Can you walk through like what kinds of decisions you're making in terms of like when you're writing a song or even like playing a song? Because you said you embellished one and like added extra things to it. Can you talk a little bit about those choices?
Sure. So I come from an improvisatory background. I mean, I guess like I accidentally figured out I was going to be a composer because like I liked playing piano, but I didn't always like playing exactly what was written down. And I'm like, why do I have to like learn this and be perfect when it like sounds cool the way that I was playing it? This is me at like, I don't know. I started playing piano when I was 11. So I was like, it sounds pretty good this way. I don't know. And then so your question was about harmonic choices. Sometimes it comes out of improv, like it just, I'm playing something, I'm sitting in the dark at a piano and just rocking out. I haven't been able to do that a lot lately because I'm in a house with a lot of people, and it's more fun to get those ideas out on a the acoustic piano, but kind of everybody can hear it because nobody goes anywhere. So it's like, but yeah, I for instance in Powerless, that was like I became fascinated by whole tone scales. And I figured out, so like the beginning, that's based around, so I'm keeping the D flat in the bass, but I'm stepping through D flat, E flat, F chords. Now that F chord with that bright major third would not belong to this key ordinarily, but because we're taking whole steps between the two of them. This is what a normal scale sounds like, by the way. Here's just like your regular do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But the whole tone scale starting on D flat is do, 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 do. So I put that at in the outro, or whatever you want to call it, at the end. Do, 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 do. Lily will be playing that on violin again.
It's hard to do anything where Lily is just gonna make everything better. So you could be like, what's wrong with this sandwich? Like, oh, there's not enough Lily on it. Like
Lily didn't have any creative input on this sandwich, and therefore there's just something a little off about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we have time for one more question left. What are some like creative challenges or goals or projects that you're excited about in the future, or like you really want to try?
Well, so before we knew what was gonna go down, in 2020, I in January, February started writing out string arrangements for that triptych plus Powerless that I played at the beginning of the set. And then I was like, everyone's gonna come to my house and we're gonna record this somehow. I don't know. And then the pandemic hit, and I kind of gave it up in favor of working on Curious, which is out, and that took a lot out of me, but it was worth it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to writing that string arrangement, and yeah, it's gonna be tough because either I have to wait until we can be in a room together, or the thing about remote music is you have to be so precise about every decision, even if you want to feel things emotionally and sense it, and then you have to be just so precise about things that I don't want it to get too mathy and take the joy out of it. So that's a challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to writing those arrangements.
Yeah, I wonder if you could do it over Zoom. You just hang out with Lily over Zoom and do it. Just conscripting Lily into everything now.
Yes, well, she is going to be on that record. And my favorite moment of teaching our friend Levi the whole tone scale was we got up to this note and my cat got really mad, so she meowed at that note because it was too high and it was hurting her ears. It was really cute.
Oh, wow.
She went, meow! Meow!
Your cat has perfect pitch too. That's amazing. Well, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and for playing such beautiful music today.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And so up next is my sister Rory, a special guest. So everybody stick around. Hey, Rory.
Hey, Connor.
Thank you so much for hanging out. I know it's like literally an hour after I told you we would be going on, and you said you didn't have a lot of time, so I really appreciate you sticking around.
Absolutely. It's been really inspiring to hear everybody's process, and there's been so much. So I'm glad that these are recorded so people will be able to hear it later too.
Yeah. So let me introduce you, and then we'll introduce what we're doing here today for our final segment for tonight. So Rory Michelle Sullivan's work as a songwriter, musician, and Jewish educator converges at the intersection of spirituality, art, and education. With her folk-y songs, deep engagement with the creative process, singing with Jewish communities, and creating musical theater, she aims to collaboratively celebrate and foster personal growth, spiritual connection, and the joy of being alive. And it looks like Connor has also added that she's also one of the 2 best sisters in the world, just so you know.
Aw, thanks, Connor. Well, you're the bestest brother in the world, so it works out pretty well there.
Yeah, it's just luck of the draw. So we're here today because the Festival of Lights and Sounds is a Hanukkah pun, because Festival of Lights is Hanukkah, and it happens to be the first night of Hanukkah tonight. And I want to start off with an invitation to everybody that we're going to be talking sort of about Jewish culture or this Jewish tradition and Judaism in general, but this is really an invitation to just, for anyone of any culture, any background, any religion, that we're here to talk about just our culture and symbolism and kind of the ways that we all of us, of all kinds of people, celebrate holidays and celebrate each other. And so Rory is going to talk about, Rory, go for it. You can explain what you're here to talk about, but I just want to start off with that invitation so that no one feels left out. Everyone is welcome, and we're really excited that you're all sticking around so late to light the menorah with us.
Yeah, totally. And whether it's your first Hanukkah or your billionth, you are welcome. And Connor, that's beautifully said. And our Aunt Karen used to say all the time that there's this deep humanness to wanting light in the darkest time of the year. And so it's no coincidence that Hanukkah falls around this time, that all the Christmas lights are up already, that Kwanzaa falls right after Christmas, and and also Diwali was just last month. The Hindu and Jain and Sikh Festival of Lights, also Festival of Light. I mean, we all got a Festival of Light, so so it's a very deep human thing. And so on Hanukkah we are talking about and the two miracles on the in terms of the Jewish tradition. One is that the oil in the temple back in 165 BCE was lasting for 8 days instead of one night. But it really is the second miracle, and the one that the holiday is really about is a military victory of the small over the mighty, right? And I think it's really, really fitting that we're including this ritual in this festival, Connor, that you are inviting everyone to raise funds for the national bailout, because Hanukkah is at its core a holiday of resistance to oppression. So I hope that everyone will be inspired to donate. I know you've been doing a lot of good work around that, and so yeah, please do that. And we're gonna do some candle lighting, and Connor put down in the description so you can follow along in Hebrew or transliteration or just know what we're saying.
Yeah, in the description below the donation link, and then below all of the artist socials, there's also all of the words and the lyrics. I'm not sure if they're lyrics, the transliterations to what Rory's going to be reciting for us.
Yeah. And I was thinking of so inspired by everyone, and particularly this moment of passing things down and hearing what Quincy was saying about I believe it was his mom and his niece with the hair, and I'm wearing a sweater that our grandmother made. This is our great grandmother's Chanukiah or Hanukkah menorah, and I was sharing stories and things passed down as well. So it's I hope that Festival of Light and Sound becomes a new tradition in year 2 here. So I'm pumped.
Just 1,000 years from now, people are like, "Why do we sit around and do this?" Like, well, our ancestor.
Connor T.L. Sullivan. What does the T.L. stand for again, Connor?
It stands for the lights.
The lights. See? There you go. Connor the Lights Sullivan. That's a new... I think that one should stick. I think that one should stick. All right. So we're going to light... I'm starting on the right, but it's, I guess, your left on your screen, but...
Yeah.
It doesn't matter so much. Okay. I mean, it matters, but... You're gonna have yours in.
It's as if we were looking at you, and like if we were across the table from you, we're watching you light from your right.
Exactly. Yeah. And on the other nights, we would fill in the candles. So if I had a second candle, it would fill in here, but I would still light them left to right, but fill them out right to left. And the idea is that rather than starting with all of the lights and then like diminishing in light, we start with one light. And then we increase in light. And this was a debate between the rabbis, and we decided to go not with Shammai, school of Shammai, who said start at all of them and go down, but with the school of Hillel, who said no, we start with one light, because we always want to increase, in his words, in holiness, but we want to bring more and more light as we go on into the world. And I think that's so beautiful. That's what you're doing with your festival, and everybody's doing with their art, is bringing their light into the world. So it's an honor to be here. And let's light some Hanukkah candles.
Whew.
All right. So like the helper candle or the shamash. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel CHANUKAH. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam Shechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. All right, we've done it. So I like to, after we've lit the candles, sing a traditional song about the said military victories. It said that the resistance to oppression and fighting for freedom and liberation, you know, in every age, and taking inspiration from those who have fought for a long time. We'll sing it in Hebrew and then go to the English. And again, the lyrics are down below. I said Hebrew first, right? Yeah, okay. Ma'otzor Yeshuati Lechana Elishabeach Tikon Beitefilati V'sham Toda Mizabeach Lietachin Madbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Azegmor B'shir Mizmor Chanukah Tamizbeach Azegmor B'shir Mizmor Chanukah Tamizbeach Rock of ages, let our song praise thy saving power. Thou amidst the raging foes was our sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but thine arm availed us, and thy word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and thy word broke their sword when our own strength failed us.
Beautiful.
And now, a lot of you know potentially.
Very gently singing a song. I'm not sure if it. I was singing gently enough that you couldn't hear, but I was nervous that if I started singing along, it would be out of sync.
Oh, I was like, no, please sing along. You're right. With Zoom, it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
I brought a little dreidel that I got in Israel, actually.
Oh wow! Did you make it out of clay?
I made it out of some very shiny clay. I have the lyrics down there for a song in Hebrew, an Israeli folk song about a dreidel and spinning the dreidel. But I do also love to sing the dreidel song with like all the different things you can make out of it and make silly rhymes. But that's for another time. Now we're gonna sing Sevi Fong so that you will come.
Wait, do you have like one silly rhyme?
Yeah.
Tease us.
All right, let's see.
Just
Let me find the silliest one. I have like a whole. I didn't come up with these. Actually, my students in religious school have come up with some pretty amazing ones. We can just do this. We can
play. Okay.
What's that?
Wait, give me a word. Give me a material.
A material?
Yeah.
Pottery. I guess that's also clay. Copper.
Wow, I thought I was gonna be good at this. I was gonna buy
Wait,
something.
maybe with music. I have a little dreidel. I made it out of clay.
Copper.
And when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. That's the bass, right?
Cake topper. What?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no.
Cake topper. Go ahead, do it.
I had a little dreidel. I made it out of copper. And when it's dry and ready, it'll be our Hanukkah cake topper. Oh,
woo, exactly. That was baller.
Thank
well
you.
done. That was awesome.
Okay, go ahead. Play the song that you were gonna play.
I'm trying to find my favorite of these. It's about an imaginary dreidel, but I don't anyway. Yeah, so this one goes like this, and we're gonna try to do it faster and faster. It goes Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chanukah hu chag tov, Chanukah hu chag tov, Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol haya sham, Nes gadol haya sham, Chag simcha hu la'am. Think you can do it faster? Or just try with me. Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chanukah hu chag tov, Chanukah hu chag tov, Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol haya sham, Nes gadol haya sham, Chag simcha hu la'am. Can you faster?
I think.
Great.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Oh,
Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chanukah hu chag tov, Chanukah hu chag tov, Sevivon, sof sof sof, Chag simcha hu la'am, Nes gadol haya sham, Nes gadol haya sham, Chag simcha hu la'am.
Nice.
I think if you were like spinning around like a dreidel, like I have kids do when we're singing this song, it'd be even more fun.
Yeah. I think the reason why you and Kaylee have such beautiful voices is because you had all this practice like singing along in temple, and then I would just kind of like mumble it really quietly because I didn't know any of the words and I was too young to know anything, and then also because it was sort of out of my key.
I do remember there was one woman in our synagogue growing up who would just do these beautiful harmonies to whatever we were singing, and it's true. There's so much, and it goes back to the humanness, right? Like when I sing with communities, I always say if you can talk, you can sing. If you can move, you can dance. And so it's like this. There's this instinct as humans that we have to express ourselves. I mean, all the beautiful art from today, from earlier this week that we're going to see the next couple of days. People have been talking about that authenticity and getting to that deeper place, and so
they all talked about that today.
It was a really inspiring night. It was worth the extra hour.
Yeah. Nobody this week has been like me, and they're like, "Oh, well, I labor over it for 8 years, and then and then eventually I squeeze out something." They're all like, "Oh, I speak from my heart, and I trust myself, and I believe."
You do that too, Connor. You just do it as part of your process.
That's true. You're very encouraging. Anyway.
Well, we are siblings. I think we share that. You're a very encouraging person too, and you've inspired me a lot as well. As I hope you know. Yeah. We're gonna close out on the again on the note of resistance to oppression, of righting the wrongs, of challenging that which is sick and wrong, and carrying forth, and knowing that even if we've been in the battle for generations and generations and years and centuries, that that we can take inspiration from those who've come before us, and from the younger generations who have maybe even more hope that can bring in all of our light together. So this song is by Peter, Paul, and Mary, or Peter Yarrow. I don't know. I mean he was in Peter, Paul, and Mary, but I'm not sure who the songwriter is, but by the group Peter, Paul, and Mary for sure. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was written around the time that there was a lot of concern for Soviet Jewry back in that. So that's the historical context for this song. But I wanted to close out with holding up that light for the festival of light and sound. It goes, light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Don't let the light go out. Don't let it go out.
Wow. That was so powerful.
It's a powerful song.
Yeah.
I mean, folk, we heard Evan talking about folk before. Yeah.
How did you choose that one as a song to play?
Partially wanted to include an English song.
Always good.
And then I thought the theme that, of what we're doing here, bringing light and love into the world through the art that we make and through the places that we choose to give our resources to, and the learning and unlearning that we can do together, and especially through art and creating new culture, is really important. And I think there's a legacy. Now this is not why I picked this song. Now I'm just talking about it, but I think there's a legacy in folk music in particular of fighting the fight for justice, and there isn't a need now for new culture to be created. And there's I was just learning about the cycles of socialization and the cycles of liberation, and there's a consciousness raising that needs to happen for liberation, and art is one of the prime, I mean, literally on the cycle of socialization. Song lyrics are part of the ways in which we're inculcated and indoctrinated, and I don't mean that in like a sinister sense, but if we are conscious of what we listen to and the words that we put out into the world and the words that we speak into the world and the words that we allow in our world and that we hold up in our world, that quite literally influences the way that we operate on a subconscious and conscious level, but especially subconscious. You think the way, song lyrics goes in. I'm grateful that I listened to Willy Wonka's imagination, pure imagination. You want to change the world. There's nothing to it. Like.
Sing it that upbeat. Yeah. I was confusing that song with the one he does on the boat. Doesn't he also sing Imagination on the boat, or is that a different song?
That was a scary scene in the movie for me, him in the boat.
Yeah.
The old movie with Gene Wilder. Yeah. That was a scary scene.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to get off topic, but okay. I could go down a rabbit hole with talking about Charlie and Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
But
no, I know. I say that also because there's what's the folks that I keep talking about in terms of like this need to write new songs. Like there's if it comes to me, I'll say it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna ask. This might be off topic too, but what do you make of the word burden in the song? He says,
I take it as go ahead. Oh, I take this is the burden and this is the promise. I take it as responsibility. That's how I understand it. Like Spider-Man, with great power becomes great responsibility. But that's not always something somebody takes on joyously,
Yeah, you're opening up a can of worms for me because you mentioned Spider-Man. I have
literally in your bio, the alleged friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just watched. There are 2 video games that came out. One about Peter Parker, and then one about Miles Morales.
Yeah,
they're both like different Spider-Men, and Peter Parker's the original Spider-Man with the Uncle Ben quote. So his uncle dies, and he could have saved him, but he'd made a selfish choice. So Peter Parker's main story is that he has this feeling of guilt. And his responsibility is a burden because if he had acted, then he would have saved someone. So he thinks from a place of guilt when he's thinking about responsibility. And Miles Morales, I mean, there's different interpretations, but in the two most popular ones, the most recent video game, and then also the Into the Spider-Verse, the film that won an Oscar last year for Best Animated Feature. Miles Morales, when he's encouraged to step into the role of responsibility as a way of self-actualization. And in both of his stories, he's surrounded by people that are supporting and loving him. And even in the video game, there's a particular storytelling device where every time something devastating happens to him, immediately afterwards, either his mom or his best friend is there to tell him how much they believe in him. And because it's a video game, you don't want the character to like kind of dwell in it, so he steps right back up. Whereas Peter Parker, in most of the stories, it's just about punishing him with guilt and him trying to rise to be heroic even through all of that pain. And I think from Miles, when he's rising to be heroic, it's from a place of, by being his best self, he is a stronger part of the community. Because Miles is also like, he's sort of like the neighborhood spot in the video game. He's saving Harlem, which he's a new resident of, but there's like this undercurrent of gentrification. And I'm sorry, I'm really getting off on a tangent, but it's this idea of responsibility as like sort of a way to connect not only to the community but to himself, and sort of a balance. Whereas with Peter Parker, it feels like a burden to him. It's something that stops him from being the person he really wants to be, which is just like a science nerd with like a girlfriend that he doesn't have to worry about dying all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we could also ask Peter, Paul, and Mary and see what they thought.
That's true. I guess I just really wanted to talk about Spider-Man. Sorry.
It's okay. Side note, I've been thinking all through that last bit. It's how this is why people like podcasts and like being on podcasts. Podcasts. Because it's always fun to talk to you, Connor, and I love it so much. And we've had whole car rides from, Long Island to New York where we just geek out about storytelling, or I geek out about Jewish stuff and you nicely listen to me. Or then we married Talmud and hip hop, which this sort of like networked and self-referential aspect of both. There's a lot of cool overlaps there. Anyway, geeking out now, but yeah, this is really fun to talk to you on the air, so to speak.
I'll rein it in. I think that's the subtext.
No, it wasn't. It's like, this is really cool and fun.
Okay, well, let's get back to Hanukkah.
Okay.
Away from
talk about whatever you want.
What when you think about Hanukkah, I mean, you've talked a lot about it already, but what are some of like the main what's like most important about Hanukkah to you, and why?
It's a beautiful question. Also, I remembered that we wanted to share with everyone that it is International Human Rights Day.
Oh yeah, well, that's gonna be for the closing ceremony.
Oh great. Oh sorry.
Very short, but I have a quote about Human Rights Day, but you can talk about it. Go for it.
No, I will look forward to hearing your quote.
Okay.
I will let you hold that. What is the most important thing about Hanukkah to me? I'm gonna say something maybe a little radical.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's really interesting living in America and having access to a culture that's not the mainstream culture. And I also think it's really interesting that holidays in the Jewish tradition, like Hanukkah or Purim, which happens in the spring, which is a Persian story, are added later. And so it's just a funny juxtaposition that Hanukkah is not one of the major Jewish holidays, but because of its proximity to Christmas and to this time of the year when everybody's thinking about light and gathering together, and could throw in the Danish concept of hygge and coziness, which I think belongs in all of them, maybe. I don't really know where I was going with that, but I think holding the process of history and how history creates culture. I don't know if this is like what's the most important thing about Hanukkah to me. Is more a riff on just sort of the process of creating culture in general in a tradition. I know one of the things we geeked out about in that car ride was the story of the the woman who's baking a brisket and cuts off the end of it and thinks to ask her mom, like, why do we have this tradition of like cutting off the end of the brisket?
Because she thinks it's a deep cultural thing that's been passed down through generations.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for filling that in. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we just always did it. That's what grandma did. I don't know. Ask grandma. And so, the woman goes to ask grandma, and grandma says, well, the pan wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
That's why she cut it up. So I think
cut it off to fit the pan. They only had a 6-foot pan.
I mean, I think, it's interesting, and I've been very, very fortunate to learn from some amazing teachers, primarily through Pardes Institute of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem, and I think some of the Hanukkah things that I've learned. I remember a session with Rabbi Yaba Epstein about the light increasing, and or maybe it's even some of this, but don't quote me because I want to get my sources right. But is just how, like, for instance, it's just and it speaks to everything that's happening. That's people becoming, the consciousness raising that's happening, right? Like often people think of Hanukkah as the festival of light and the miracle of the oil, and the rabbis at the time who were sort of creating the culture and the holiday, based off of a historical event, but like holidays become a thing in some cases because people start doing them, right? So they emphasize the miracle of the lights to sort of take the military victory edge off of it, because they didn't want the culture, the majority culture that they were surrounded in, to feel threatened by a holiday around a military victory, right? But the story of Hanukkah is really is also one of assimilation. I mean, it's so interesting to see the parallels in our own day, right? And that's the beauty of any culture that comes down from any tradition, from any, I want to say place in the world, but, Judaism for sure comes from all different places around the world. And, for instance, this is a little tangent, but a lot of people often think sort of Hanukkah foods as the fried potato latkes, the fried potato pancakes, but that's just Eastern European, Ashkenazi, like Eastern European Jews. Whereas, like, basically anything you can fry in oil, like from any tradition, from any place of the world, like, there's so many different Hanukkah traditions that come from each regional Jewish, culture and tradition. But anyway, so, and then like frying cheese, which is related to Judith, who killed the general Holofernes in a story by beheading him, and that's like a military thing. So then she gets like kind of honored and linked with Hanukkah, which is really fun, which I learned from Girls in Trouble with Alicia Jo Ravens. And why was I talking about all of this? Because it's like assimilation, right? So it's like you have a period of Hellenization back, the Greeks. It was the Syrian king who at some point decided, like, hey, we're not going to let the Jews do things their way. They're going to have to do it our way. And it was really a small band of rebels, like radicals, that the Maccabee family, you heard Maccabee, the Maccabee children in the Light One Candle song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. The Maccabees, meaning Maccabee means hammer, was the family of like radical, really people who were like, no, we're gonna make sure that we can continue on these traditions and not fully become the majority culture, and then there's later on traditions that, allow both of those things to exist at once. But when one is trying to completely stamp out the culture, then they fought the story of Hanukkah, that military victory miracle is that this small band of like rebels, fought the entire Syrian army and won,
Wow.
But it just brings me back to that quote, like, I think is it Margaret Mead, like, a small group of committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. I mean, that's maybe the new story of Hanukkah for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, that's really beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
I mean, there's so much nuance and so many connections and parallels that we could draw, but maybe we should save that for an actual podcast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it has been so much fun hanging out with everyone. I think there is a podcast in the future. We'll do it. Yeah. But
no press.
do you have any like last thoughts that you want to share to like kind of welcome in the night? I know I have one before we transition to the closing ceremony. Do you have any like last thoughts that you'd like to share with everyone about Hanukkah or anything?
I do want to say thank you to, I think it was Gaby, right? Not Gaby. Gaby
yeah.
And Yuki and Quincy and Evan and Ariel and Maria.
Yep.
For all of their beautiful art and sharing it, and everyone, all the nights before and all the nights to come, and Connor, to just say that you are such an incredible human for putting this all together, and I'm so grateful that I get to be your sister, and thanks for sharing this all with us and bringing us together in community and collaboration and light.
Thanks, Rory.
Sure.
That actually segues really well into what I wanted to say.
Great.
Is that it was so nice to light the candles with you, because that's something that we used to do when we were growing up, and it was a really special moment. We'd all get together. There's this really great picture of us when
I have it.
one of the candles got really gnarly because all the wax melted off, and we were all of us in like the geekiest versions of our middle school selves were like, oh, look at the gnarliness of this candle. I remember just like saying gnarly like 20 times in a row. That's the picture. Yeah. Wait, a little higher. Yeah. They're like, gnarly.
Little Connor.
Yeah.
My dad and our other bestest sister, Kaylee.
Yeah.
I'm the one with the wild mane of hair.
Exactly, that one. Yeah. But you know, nope, gonna resist. I was gonna say, like, when we were talking about the reasons why you have holidays is to concretize a memory and a story the same way that a picture does. A picture, when you remember a picture, so you remember a moment and you don't forget. There were like millions of other times that we have lit the candles, but because we have that picture, we remember that gnarliness of that, like the wax dripping down. And I think a holiday is sort of a similar thing of like, it's like a cultural picture of a special event in a culture's history, and everyone is going to say like, we're going to remember this snapshot. I don't know, that's just a thought I had.
And
that's like podcast material.
And values, you know.
Yeah. All right, ready? So
yeah.
Anyway, let's transition to the closing ceremony.
Woo!
It's so funny to me that I thought that I was going to stick to the schedules that I had set out of like, yeah, we're only going to talk to a filmmaker for 5 minutes about the film that they show. Like, we only need 5 minutes to show their film, 5 minutes. That's going to be easy. So anyway, like you were saying, so welcome to the closing ceremony. And the reason we have these closing ceremonies is because it's like a Hanukkah pun, a Hanukkah joke. We thought we were going to like light a candle every night. But instead of doing that, I've been reading a quote every night. And Rory reminded me that tonight is Human Rights Day. What's the actual holiday?
International Human Rights Day, I believe.
Cool. Thank you. And so the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was first announced in 1948, I believe. And Eleanor Roosevelt was one of the people that was deeply involved in that. And my mom was watching a documentary about her, so I was introduced to that fact. So I thought I would read a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. In the article from amnesty.org.uk, it says, Eleanor Roosevelt was heavily involved in championing civil rights and social activism. She was appointed chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights, which drafted the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. On the 10th anniversary of the UDHR, Eleanor gave a speech at the United Nations called Where Do Human Rights Begin? Part of her speech has become famous for capturing the reason why human rights are for every one of us in all parts of our daily lives. So here's the quote. Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places, close to home. So close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Yet they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood they live in, the school or college they attend, the factory, farm, or office where they work. Such are the places where every person seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere. Without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world. And I love that quote. I'll say what it means to me, and then you could share yours as well. It reminds me a lot of the Adrienne Marie Brown quote that I said on Sunday about talking about emergence and talking about the way that we look for love in people and the way that we treat people. But also, I think it's so important that these actions and these kindnesses, it's not just kindnesses, but like that the law and the government protects people in those small places, so that you don't have, you know, a declaration of independence that says everyone is created equal, but that's not actually how they're treated. And so when the world becomes so global, to recognize that we are still individual people that deserve all of the human rights and all of just all of the freedom and love that each individual deserves their full life. And yeah, so I thought it was a great quote. Go ahead, Rory.
Beautifully said. No, it's beautiful. It reminds me of I feel like I keep trying to track down the source and get different answers about who actually said it, whether it's Dalai Lama or I don't know, somebody. But if you want to have peace in the world, then you must create peace in the nation. If you want to create peace in the nation, then you need to create peace in the state. If you want to create peace in the state, you need to create peace in the city. If you want to create peace in the city, you need to create peace in the family. If you want to create peace in the family, you need to create peace within yourself. And just that it starts with each one of us, that those human rights, and whether it's for ourselves or dismantling for me as a white person, dismantling the harm that I cause in the world through white privilege and harm, and but also just learning to own up to the responsibility and the burden, right, of the ways in which I make mistakes and I'm human, and clean them up, which I'm learning to do because I am human and I have hurt people and made mistakes, and but I can also learn from that and grow from that, and take inspiration from even the process of art, where making a mistake can teach you something, right? It's sometimes the only way that we learn to then do it right or do it better, and bring healing and bring transformation. And so it starts in us. And thank you, Connor, for giving us all the space to share the art that we've been making, and thanks to you for being the seed to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on. That was so wonderfully said. And yeah, I think that's a great place to end. So thank you to everyone who hung out with us all this time. Thank you for tuning in, for watching everybody perform, and for all of these great conversations. Thank you for donating. You can still donate in the doobly-doo, as it's called, below. And you could also find all of the words to the beautiful songs that Rory sung, so you could sing along for all the rest of the 7 more nights of Hanukkah and the 2 more nights of the Festival of Lights and Sound 2020. 8 crazy nights, 2 crazy nights left. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Love you, Rory. And have a good night, everyone.
Love you, Connor. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Cool.